Aodhán Ríordáin.
Grumagad alas Karen Corley, I want to share time with my colleague Deputy Duncan Smith, and we will be supporting Deputy Ward's motion. Minister, I have a few points to make. I have sympathy with the previous speaker in terms of demonising young people and indeed demonising areas. So there is an area in my constituency which is having a particular issue at this moment. The Minister knows of it because I wrote to her, I wrote to the Garda Commissioner about it, I wrote to the local Garda station about it, so I don't want to name the park. But I had a meeting with residents there on Friday evening about the issue. And fireworks and antisocial behaviour was a huge concern, to such a degree that local residents who are proud of their area feel they can't go into the park after lunchtime. And that's a particularly distressing message to get as a public representative, that this park, which has been so well resourced and people feel so proud of, that has now come to a stage now that they feel they can't go in after lunchtime, and it's still September. And as other speakers have said, this is only going to get worse. Minister, a Garda station was promised for Dublin 13, Dublin 17, and the Assistant Garda Commissioner made this announcement in June 2019, and I had a topical issue here only last week about that issue, and I wasn't very encouraged by the response I got. So every time that we speak about antisocial behaviour or policing, I'm going to raise the issue. The third thing I'm going to say is that a crime task force was promised for the north side of Dublin in the general election, on the basis that, just like in the north inner city, you can't police your way out of crime. You have to speak to young people, you have to talk about youth development, you have to talk about oral language, you have to talk about literacy, you have to talk about employment, you have to talk about health. There's a huge number of issues that you have to speak of when you're talking about crime and disadvantage and antisocial behaviour. So you can't just police your way out of it. And I was making this case after every time there was a shooting, after every time there was gun crime, after every time there was a murder. I said that what we needed was a movie-style commission or task force on the north side of Dublin, and also one in Drogheda. And this was agreed to when the general election started. So I want delivery of that. And I don't accept that we have to wait for the COVID emergency to pass off until we can start a move on that. Because you can see the antisocial behaviour is still an issue, the disconnection is still an issue, the disengagement decision is still an issue, and what we have now in September, October of this year is a heightening in the instance of firework crime, as we might call it, or antisocial behaviour. So there are my three issues. The last point I'll make, and I mean this with the greatest of respect to all speakers, and I'm not in any way questioning the bona fides of parties who have spoken on this motion, government and opposition. But it really isn't good enough to come into this chamber and speak of resources that, for example, Dublin City Council needs to work in community development, to adequately secure the parks, to do estate management, when parties in government and in opposition last night joined together to cut €12 million of funding from Dublin City Council, which could be used to tackle just the issues that we're talking about. Now, politics can be difficult, and it means making hard choices. So with the greatest of respect to speakers who speak about resources and youth development and investing in communities, speak to your councillors, because last night in Dublin City Council, a number of parties from government and opposition voted to rob my city of €12 million that could have gone a long way to addressing the issues that we are talking about this evening. And the last thing, just as the Minister is here, so just to recap, because I didn't interrupt you. I am being truthful.
Through the Chair.
To recap on the points I've made, I've written to the Minister about the particular park that I have a concern about. The Crime Commission on the North Side is important. The Garda Station is important. And funding of local communities is important. And you can't come here and speak about the lack of funding when you're voting through your parties to cut it at a local level.
Thank you, Deputy Duncan.